We have a very special guest joining us right now, Jackie and Jason. Please welcome Rebecca Ryan. She's an economic futurist. What in the world is an economic futurist?
I travel with a crystal ball.
Oh, see, how cool is that?
Now, can you get that through airport security easily?
It does not have metal components, so yes.
Oh, so
we discussed the fact that we both try to predict the future. She, I assume, probably makes a better living than I do at it, but
I don't know. You dress pretty sharp, Jason.
Well, it's stuff I find on the street, but it's so you're predicting the future of, I guess, the western suburbs and West Des Moines in particular.
Yeah. Just recently, for the last 6 months, I've been working with West Des Moines, and I think, what is it? What do we do?
Yeah.
In the same way that a meteorologist kind of, you've got to know a few calculations, we do the same thing in professional futuring. We look at all the trends and we say, all right, what is likely to happen in this region? And I had the great pleasure in West Des Moines of working with 40 people, business owners, up-and-comers in the community, entrepreneurs, and we did the process together. So it was super fun. Yeah, it was super fun.
So what specifically do you look at? Like, we know what he looks at to predict the weather. What do you do to predict what the economy is going to be doing in West Des Moines? Yeah,
so the shortcut for Futurist is an acronym STEEP: Society, Technology, Economy, Environment, Politics. So we look at trends in those 5 areas. And in West Des Moines, this group came up with over 200 trends, and then we sort them based on how much impact they're going to have and how likely they are to happen.
How far in the future do you guys look?
20 years.
All right.
Now, I'm kind of...
That's farther than I go.
I'm curious about
5 days, right?
what happened in the last 20 minutes? I don't know. But I'm curious about this from living on both coasts of our great country.
Yep.
You find that trends take about 6 months to a year to make their way to the middle of the country here in Iowa. So are we still behind 6 months to a year, or are we actually coming up with ideas that they are in the bigger cities like LA and New York?
Well, you know what's interesting? So you're absolutely right that some of the, especially when you think of fashion or technology trends, Uber came to the Midwest later than it was on the coast and so forth. But when you think about some of the things that this region has going for it, the economy is really steady. It's still not steady everywhere in the Midwest. It's not steady everywhere on the coasts. So we try to look at both the things that we're pretty sure are going to happen, like the sharing economy. We're pretty sure Uber and Airbnb, these kinds of things aren't going to go away. But then we also look at what are the natural assets and amenities in this region that we have to build on. And like in West Des Moines, of course, public schools are fantastic, right? So it's a blend of looking at things that are going to impact the region, but also looking at things that are, already happening in the region that you can just amplify.
So what can we look forward to 2036?
2036, that's right. Well, I put together 6 strategies based on the input with these 40 folks, and 2 are just kind of, we need to do these to make sure that we're future ready. And then there are a couple that, I don't want to let the cat out of the bag, but there are a couple that are going to be game changers.
Okay, so what are the obvious ones?
Okay, so the obvious ones are, well, this may not be obvious, but right now West Des Moines doesn't have a group of leaders who wake up every day working together. The superintendent of schools working with the head of the Chamber of Commerce, working with the city manager. They're not talking with each other about their challenges, and that's really important because when opportunities come up or when the proverbial crap hits the fan, these people need to know each other.
Okay, here's the problem. So put them in the same dorm.
Yeah,
okay. That way they wake up and have to eat breakfast.
Have a reality show. And,
okay.
Let's do it. I'm writing it in the plan. Check it out at lunch.
When I live out west, and Lou, it happens out by you too, but this city is growing so fast, and what I always wonder, and maybe is where are all these people coming from and all this money? I mean, Iowa as a state is slowly losing population, but this central part of the state is just expanding like crazy. Are they small town people? Are they out of state people?
Well, there are 2 really awesome natural amenities that have attracted the Microsofts and the Facebooks and even out of the region. Google, right? And those are, we've got relatively inexpensive electricity, and we are very close to a fiber switch. So the closer you are to that fiber switch, the faster all the internets get relayed. So those are 2 amenities that you absolutely have going for you, and that's one of the reasons that companies are choosing to move their corporate headquarters here and are choosing to be here.
Now, why are you specifically looking at West Des Moines? Because when you look at like the top 10 lists that Des Moines is listed in nonstop, it seems like these days. Why are we not focusing specifically on the whole region as opposed to just West Des Moines?
Well, the pithy answer is West Des Moines is the community that hired me.
Right.
Okay, they're the ones paying her, Jackie. Okay, they're writing the check.
Got it.
But certainly the surrounding cities have an impact.
Oh my goodness! In fact, in my West Des Moines folder, I have probably 8 or 10 plans of what the Greater Des Moines Partnership is doing, because these things have to work tongue and groove together. So
Right.
I spent as much time studying Des Moines' economy as I did, working directly with the West Des Moines community.
And West Des Moines specifically has seen incredible economic growth around the Jordan Creek area, and now farther west out by Waukee where the new interchange is. So it's a city that it has to figure out where they're going in a big hurry, don't they?
Yeah, they do. And just to put the 20 years, and sometimes people say, why do you study 20 years into the future? Well, one of the reasons is because it's a length of a generation, so it can help you think about your kids or your grandkids, right? So get out of your own way. But when you think about West Des Moines, 20 years ago, Jordan Creek Town Center did not exist.
Nope.
Facebook wasn't even a thing 20 years ago. So then you say, all right, 20 years in the future, what's it going to look like? You need a professional process to help you figure that out, because it's hard to know what the weather's going to be like.
Yeah,
That's
even
very
5
true.
days.
And if going back even further, these devices that we all have, all 4 of us have
Bring it
these
out.
things right
Let's
here.
see it.
All 4
Well,
of
you
us
got an Apple
have
Watch
these.
on. You
I
have
do.
an
Yeah.
iPhone.
But we-
Oh, the future is calling.
Yeah. No, but when these first came out, who would have thought that we'd all have them in our hands right now, because they were the brick things that you carried around, or the bags that you carried around. And
Guess how many times you open your phone in a day?
Oh, way too many.
That's a good round
It's got to
number.
be 100.
150 times the average person.
Oh, I believe it.
What did we do before we had to?
Right?
Look at everything
So
on,
you had to do
on
the rotary phone?
device.
And one of the big issues has to be infrastructure when you're talking about a city that's expanding quickly. So roads, bridges, schools, the fire department, police department, all that stuff. Right?
Yeah, one of the great things about West Des Moines is like they by both agencies, Moody's and S&P, they have a AAA bond rating. I think it's the only community in Iowa that has that. So
Oh, really? I
they've
didn't
been
know
able
that.
to do a lot in a very prudent and innovative way. Tom Haddon, who's the city manager
Yeah,
out there.
we know Tom, yeah.
Yeah. He says, I feel like I've inherited, the Yankees, during their heyday, and I just have to not screw it up. And this plan is going to help them get to a great
Well,
place.
they traditionally haven't had a lot of debt, right?
No.
Right. So financially, they've done a good job.
Yes.
And
So we've talked about the important people making sure they stay in communication with one another. What are some other things that we're looking forward to in the next 20 years with West Des Moines?
Well, with West Des Moines in particular, like you had mentioned, they've gone through their development. I remember when West Des Moines wasn't what it was. I lived here in the early 90s. So now they're in a redevelopment phase, right? So how do we redevelop in a smart way? And one of the things that's interesting is the more we rely on these devices, Lou, like you were just saying, the more we want to be in interaction with each other. So this is why having parks and trails and what are called complete streets, right, where people who are in wheelchairs or people who are on bikes, can all access. So one of the things around infrastructure that's going to be really important is that we continue to build public places where people can hang out, they can gather. So what's happening right now with Valley Junction, it's kind of like what happened in the East Village here, in the mid-1990s and early 2000s. So they're being very intentional about programming public spaces.
It's almost like a rebirth.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
when they were talking about building the principal Riverwalk here, somebody from the principal, and I can't remember who, said, we don't have mountains and oceans here. These trails and these recreational spaces are our mountains and oceans. And if you don't give people something to do after work, they're not going to stay here. They're not going to raise their families here. And I imagine that's a big something that you guys have thought about out there as well.
Well, we were talking about it at the break, like sitting is the new death,
Right.
so we stand up. And when you think about how much time we spend interacting with screens, we have to have physical outlets for people to ride their bikes, take their kids.
To do stuff.
To get in their bodies and out, off of their screens.
Are we growing too fast? Is that even plausible? Like, so Jordan Creek happened, it exploded.
Yes.
And now if you go over there, what used to be fields or open areas, there is construction going on, meaning more stores, retail, whatever you want to call it, maybe homes. Are we growing too fast? Are we not thinking it through enough to make sure that we have everything that you're talking about right now?
I love the question because I think there are moments in development where you need to say like, whoa. But the idea is plans like this help put the infrastructure in place so when the rapid growth happens, you're ready to go.
Okay, now you're going to lay out all these plans a little later on, from what we understand. And here's what we're going to do. We have there's where it's going to happen today, folks. That's the time. About 11:30 or so. I want you to head over in that direction. To get in, I believe it's what, $20 for chamber members, 25 if you're a non-chamber member. So not that much difference.
No.
So go take advantage of it as well. But Jason, you said you had a bunch of other questions that you want to keep asking Rebecca. Do you think we should hang on?
Oh, sure, if you
Bit.
want.
So Here's what we're going to do. We're going to pay a couple of bills. Can you stick around for a couple seconds?
Heck yes.
I'm going to finish up with you because you have too much stuff here. We want to make sure we get to it. To pay a couple of bills, we'll come right back. You're watching Great Day Live on KCWI. We kept someone over. We don't do this very often.
It means you're good.
Yeah, exactly.
Am I going to get something that's not coal in my stockings?
Maybe one of those cups if you play your cards right. Rebecca Ryan is here. She's an economic futurist, and she's working with the city of West Des Moines. And later on today, coming up in just a couple of hours, she's going to unveil a plan she has for West Des Moines that she's been working on, and along with a bunch of other people, to hopefully predict the future of West Des Moines for the next 20 years.
Yes, small task.
Yeah.
Minor little thing.
How long did it take to put this all together?
We've been working for 6 months.
6 months. Wow.
And this isn't just one. There are contingencies, right?
One scenario.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Great question. So we created 6 possible stories, plausible stories for the future of West Des Moines. And the reason we do that is because a lot of people say, oh, you're a futurist. What's my future? You know, like they think there's a single future, but there's not a single future, you know. In meteorology, depending on how the air pressure moves and whatnot.
It's just like Yoda said, always in motion is the future.
Thank
That's
you,
what
Jason.
Yoda said.
Thank you.
He did.
Well done.
Yeah,
Well
a
done.
little different type voice, but
Yeah.
I love that Yoda made an appearance here today.
Well, we're coming
Yoda.
up. We're 15 days away. So.
I love it, absolutely. So yeah, we designed 6 plausible stories for the future of West Des Moines, and all of those were very interesting, and some of them were fantastic. And then what we did is we said, all right, looking across all these 6 plausible stories, what are the common areas of opportunity or vulnerability for West Des Moines? And that's what our strategies came out of. So these strategies are designed to make sure that West Des Moines is ready for whatever comes.
Did West Des Moines find they were vulnerable in any given area?
Yeah, they did. I mean, one of the things that they said, we were talking before the break about the high-speed data switch, is, you know, if there is a huge virus in the cloud, if we have a major cyber attack, all of the companies that have come to rely on that data switch, how do we protect it? How do we back it up? You know,
wow.
So it's one of the vulnerabilities that we had.
Where is that switch at? Oh, zip it. Anyways, but you did find like possible solutions to potential problems.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
What else? What else did you guys think about that maybe folks at home wouldn't have thought of?
Well, one of the scenarios that one of the groups came up with was called keep calm and drone on. And there are very reliable predictions that say that we will have 1 million drones in the sky by 2020. 1 million drones in the sky by 2020.
Oh,
Yes.
I believe that. Sure.
I met a guy a couple weeks ago at TEDx Beacon Street, and what he does is he studies bat patterns. And the reason he studies bat patterns is because he feels like in these bat patterns, this is how we're going to have to control drones. Like, what can we learn from bats and how we're going to have 1 million drones up in the... So I know it's a little bit of a leap.
No, but it makes sense because they have to get around too.
Right.
That's right, and they use the same sort of sensory...
echolocation type thing?
Exactly. So one of the scenarios said, all right, the drone economy hits West Des Moines, and the first application was Hy-Vee delivers groceries via drones.
Okay.
So this young kid puts this service together, partners with Hy-Vee, it goes gangbusters, and then a financial crisis hits, and the city says, what could we do by drone? And goes to him and says, you know, what kind of services could we deliver by drone? So then the kid kind of gets a little puffed up, and he runs for mayor, and he becomes the mayor, and he's like, drones are just going to, you know, he kind of plays it out, and the conclusion that they reached at the end of all that is, what are the services that can be automated that we could get better gains from or gain efficiencies from, but what are the things that absolutely require the human touch as it relates to city services? And how important is it to keep people in jobs? Because certainly drones don't pay taxes, drones don't vote for bonds that build better schools. So it was so great to see this group reach this decision point where they thought, okay, technology isn't just all great, and we've got to be thoughtful about, you know, what levers we pull and don't pull. So in the plan, we talk about the diversified job, you know, the future of jobs and the diversified economy.
What's the biggest takeaway that you personally have gathered from this?
Well, you know, for me, I'll be honest, it comes from history. I went back into West Des Moines history, and in 1915, there was this guy named Edward Prince. He was a British guy, and he talked West Des Moines into building a track made out of plywood so that he could do a motor car race, like, you know, motor cars could go like 50 miles an hour,
right,
which at the time was crazy. So he built this track, they did this race, 2 people died, people of West Des Moines did not like it at all, and they ended up repurposing all the lumber. Like, they took the track down after 2 years and they repurposed all the lumber. And
Yeah, that's the board track, yeah.
Wow.
And the reason I love that story is because I feel like, you know, when I lived in this region, I lived in West Des Moines, I lived in Des Moines for 10 years. West Des Moines has always been a city that's like, let's give it a shot. You know, let's see what would happen. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't work, but they repurpose it and they reinvent it. And I feel, for me, my biggest takeaway is I think it's in the DNA of this region to like try it, see if it works. If it doesn't, we'll just take what we can use and keep moving forward.
Was there any impetus to change the stupid street numbering in West Des Moines to match the rest of the metro? Is there any talk
as a
about
futurist,
that?
I'm sure that you address that problem first and foremost in the next 20 years.
You know, I don't think it's anywhere.
How could you gloss over that?
It didn't come
It
up.
doesn't appear to be in there.
Let's talk about what you will be covering today, because you are going to be speaking, that the public is open and
attend,
allowed to come out to westdesmoinschamber.org for more details. Otherwise, you see all the details on the screen right now. What can people experience? Why should they come out and listen to you speak today?
Well, first of all, it's very rare for communities to use a futurist to do a project like this, so that right there is interesting. But also they're going to hear about the 6 strategies and how the West Des Moines Chamber and the city and the mayor are giving this stuff lift and what West Des Moines
I feel like the other suburbs are going to have futurist envy.
Yeah.
From one futurist to another, I hope so.
And your number, in case people want to get a hold of you for future events, we'll give you a link here on the website here in a little bit. But thank you so much.
I
for being
have
here.
loved being
Thank
with you guys. Thank you so much.